You're listening to Workforce Innovation News, powered by E24. Get ready to hear about all things workforce development and workforce innovation. And now, on to the episode.
Hello, and welcome to WIN, Workforce Innovation News. I am Jamie Korda-Hijawi, the director for E24. And I have, by popular request, Laura Sullivan back for part 2 of our future workforce. So Laura, I know all of our listeners, I'm sure heard our part 1, but just a quick recap. Tell everyone who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into another conversation.
Hi, I'm Laura Sullivan, the director of the Eastern Illinois Education for Employment System, and we are a K-12 cooperative school district serving students in an 8-county area, and to helping those school districts improve career and technical education and all the things that kind of go into career and tech ed. So
awesome. So you were doing the fun stuff with the most fun populations, I feel like. Kids are, they're interesting, they're developing, they are coming into their own personalities, they're curious, but also just being a parent, they kind of scare me at times. So I have tons of respect for you and what you do. And I think what you and your team is doing is very important to our local workforce. Right now it is, but you know, the next generation of employees and workers and job seekers, you are one of, you know, the first touch points to get them ready and thinking about their career. So we've talked about just what is career and technical education and some of the new things that are happening in the area regarding CTE, career and technical education. But what's really fascinating to me is the aspect of career exploration, the importance of it. What is it supposed to do? When's a good time to do it? And we have these young people who are trying to decide what they're going to do for the rest of their lives, and that can be scary, intimidating, and it can change too. It can be fluid. So talk to me, how are your feelings about career exploration, its importance, and the way to approach it?
So of course, career exploration is a very vital in starting that early with students. The Illinois State Board of Education is encouraging all districts to have some kind of exploration, career awareness activities with students, even as young as pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, second grade. And one of the best examples I can think of off the top of my head to explain kind of what career development or career awareness might look like at that early of an age is pretend play. You know, we all have costumes in the classrooms there. You know, you pretend to be a policeman, you pretend to be a firefighter, you can pretend to be a chef and have a mock kitchen. They have babies. We can all be childcare providers and teachers. And so pretend play is a really good activity, one of those very first things that we don't think of as career awareness, but that's what that pretend play is. We look at career awareness at early ages as a way to help students say, okay, what are my likes? What are my interests? And how might I be able to use those in the future? We also talk about identifying the students' natural abilities and interests. I mean, we have some students that are really great athletes. We have some that are really good at reading books, and how might reading books and that hobby kind of lead into a future career? I mean, you could be a magazine editor, you can be a photocopyist, you can be a photographer and take pictures for books. I mean, it's what can we see the natural desires, the natural talents in our students and encourage them and talk to them a little bit about careers, jobs that might be in line with where their natural abilities lie. I know it's also very easy for students, for teachers and educators at a very early age to also invite guest speakers in. That's why we invite grandparents into the classroom. That's why we invite parents into the classroom. That's why your principal comes in or your hospital CEO comes in and reads a story. It's a connection with other professionals outside of the home that students may not have a regular access to. One of the things that in preparation for today's session, I was looking at some activities guest speakers are a great way to introduce students to someone like me that can have a successful career. So it's also about being mindful of inviting different populations, people that might look different into the classroom of a wide, representative population of people that live in your community. Again, so oftentimes our students just know what mom and dad do, or if dad's not around and it's just mom, they're not really exposed to a whole lot of different careers. And when we go to the doctor, it's because you're sick. It's not because you want to know more about what that doctor does, or the nurse, or the person that checks you in, or the person answering your phone, or the person working on the copier behind the receptionist. That comes later in life, but so guest speakers, even in a classroom and having a little bit of interaction with students can be very beneficial.
Yeah. So, okay. As you're saying that, and I love you give so much information, and like the way you think is right along the line. So as I'm coming up with, oh, this, I need to ask about that, you answer it like in the next sentence. But thinking back to pretend play, and what I did when I was younger was just the things that I saw around me, what mom and dad did, the people closest to me. Those are the things, or things I saw in movies, maybe. Those are the pretend play that I would do. So I was really thinking about, how do we get more options in front of kids as they're younger? And then, okay, so guest speakers, that's really cool in the classroom. So what educators have a lot on their plates. They're responsible for a whole lot of things all at the same time, with limited funds and limited resources in general. What can the community, or can parents, do to help foster this understanding of the vast options out there?
I work for a nonprofit organization. So again, like you just said, I always look for free resources, or how can we partner with others in the community? I know you mentioned a little bit about how educators are busy. A great, easy, all-encompassing activity would be a career fair at the school, or a science fair, or even something that would allow, parent-teacher conference days. That's even a great way to showcase student successes. We could also invite business partners in, to not only they can see what your local school district is working on, but then they would have an opportunity to converse with parents too. Schools oftentimes will also do touch a truck activities. That's free. You bring in a firefighter's truck, you bring in an ambulance, and you have the kids go outside and just take a look at it. It's also really easy to, I hope it's really easy to also do field trips. Even going to a local fire department. We've got the Douglas Hart Nature Center in Mattoon. They do a really great job of all the things that you can touch, and you can run around in the woods but talk about careers. There's conservationists, there's bird people, there's, we have when you would work for our Department of Natural Resources. There's professional hunters, there's no reason why we can't. There's educators in the building too, they can all talk about different career aspects, just as an introduction to what some of those possibilities might be. And then as kids get older, then we say, oh, well, what are you interested in? Maybe they'll remember some of those interactions that they've had while playing. And then as they get older, then they'll recollect and actually put two and two together with what are the next steps needed to actually research a career, whether that's college readiness or career readiness or certifications, and who might I connect with in my community to learn more. And as parents, it's just being aware, taking those opportunities. Oh, I'm taking my kid to the doctor today, so let's go ahead and ask about careers and how long it took, and what are scholarship opportunities, and what might that look like, or I'm going to the dentist, or I'm checking out, I'm speaking with the manager at the local retail store, or the guy that's helping me because of my oil needs change, and just asking some of those exploratory questions. How did you get to where you are? It could be a five-minute conversation. If that's something that's easy that parents can do if their kids happen to be with them.
Excellent. So what I'm hearing, you said the magic word, job fair, career fair. So I do want to talk about, you have an event coming up, career fair, but What I'm also hearing, you're mentioning local businesses and organizations and that they need to be part of this as well. And I think that feeds right into the career fair too, but we really need to come together. It's not just education or just parents or just the community. We all need to have this partnership and be working towards the same goal of just increasing awareness and understanding of options and helping students make a choice or come up with narrow their choices down maybe a bit to align more with their natural talents. And yeah, there's lots of different ways to do that, but let's talk about the career fair. So tell me a little bit about what you have coming up.
Yeah, so our office is working with Lakeland College to co-sponsor the annual 8th grade career conference. This is something that we have done for over 20 years in cooperation with Lakeland College, but we have not had this event since 2019 because, as everybody remembers, in 2020, COVID kind of transitioned everybody and everything. So we are very excited to bring this event back and have it live and in person. We've kind of done some digital virtual activities over the last couple of years, and I can probably talk about some of those items as well. But with this year's 8th grade career conference, it'll be hosted in the field house at Lakeland College. That's one of the only largest spaces that we have. And it's a 2-day event. There's 4 sessions over those 2 days. And we will have approximately 1,500 to 2,000 8th grade students from approximately 37 public, private, and alternative schools. Those were kind of the numbers that we had in 2019. And everything that we do seems to just grow every year. So I think there might be more, but that's great. We have the space, we have the capacity to handle that many students in school districts, and we are so excited that 37 people think highly of this activity and will bring their students to us. During that 8th grade career conference event, we bring all of the students in. We have a guest speaker that will come in and kind of pep the kids up and kind of talk about what the expectations are from the day and talk about how they can explore careers themselves. I'll talk about him in just a second. And then after his presentation, the students actually will break apart, and for about 45 minutes, they will wander around the gym in an organized fashion. And we'll talk to various business partners who are there to talk a little bit about their career. How did they get there? What kind of classes did they need to take in high school? What kind of college experiences might they need? How much money can you expect to make in that job? What might the working conditions? I mean, if you're an outside person, the last thing you want to do is work in an office. So a construction job might be good for you, or working for the Department of Natural Resources, so maybe kind of talking to kids about those experiences and the realities of working in those positions will help students maybe choose the right classes to take while they're in high school, and kind of have an idea of what they might want to do after they graduate.
For sure. That sounds like a fun event. And full disclosure, maybe I've helped out with that event a couple times in the last few years, and maybe I'm helping out again this year. But really, it is a super exciting event. I see the value in it, and it's invigorating to see all these area schools see the value in it enough to send so many students here. And then from my perspective, to see local businesses wanting to represent their occupations and careers there at the fair. So what kind of businesses do we generally get? Are we looking just for some specific sectors, or we looking to cover all of the bases?
We look for everything. We get students that already kind of have an idea of what they are interested in, and they come up and are asking for certain things. We want business partners that represent agriculture. We want businesses that represent business and finance, hospitality and tourism, healthcare. There's always students that are interested in becoming a teacher, information technology. We want people there that are also representing maybe architecture and construction, or manufacturing, radio, TV, broadcasting. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. With 2,000 students, there could be 2,000 different career ideas. So it takes a village to raise a child, you know, we hear that, but and in this instance, you know, it's an opportunity for businesses to talk about themselves. It might even give students, oh, well, my mom has done that and she's looking for a new job, or this place closed down and maybe I'll tell my mom about your business, or my dad about your business. We also, when we talk with some of our business partners that we work with on a regular basis, they get really excited when they hear us talk about 8th grade career conference, because they want to get in front of and talk to students at an earlier age. You know, if this kid would have just taken these 3 classes in high school, they would have been ready to come work for me. But they didn't know that I was even here. And this is an opportunity for me to talk to that eighth grader that might be great in working with me. And, you know, so the more opportunities that we share with students, the better off they're going to be in the long term.
For sure. So this is an event that it's really benefiting the students for sure, but also the local businesses and employers. They're really getting that opportunity to reach their future talent pool and kind of influence them and set them on the right path, and give them an inside scoop and just start to build that relationship and that connection. So I love it. It's exciting. It is chaotic and hectic those 2 days, but it's such a good chaos. And it's so cool to see the kids get excited to be asking questions, kind of figuring things out. And I've had kids stop me and be like, well, I want to be a senator. Do you have a senator here? Where do I go? Oh, that was a really good idea. Why didn't I think of that? Like, so every year we get new ideas and it's tons of fun, but that makes me wonder, all right, so in 2020, in 2021, and 2022, we didn't have this big old conference at Lakeland. So what did you guys do instead? And how did it compare? Was it just as good, better? What are your thoughts?
You know, everything is always better when you can do it in person, and to actually be able to connect the students live one-on-one with business partners, that is so invaluable at that young age. And for them to have that opportunity to speak with, you know, 20 people, I mean, they've got 45 minutes. Yeah, how dedicated and outgoing do we have these kiddos? You know, so they can really take advantage of the opportunity. During COVID, we did have our presenter, the same guy is coming back, Brooks Harper with Harper Enterprises, and he's going to be talking to students about selling yourself, developing your own personal talents and abilities to really make every day an interview. So Brooks Harper, he is a national speaker. He is an author, and he is a job coach, and he is excited about coming back and talking with our students and sharing his wealth of knowledge to help them better prepare themselves and to always be on the lookout for opportunities, always be on the lookout and connecting with others, and to surround yourself with good people so that those opportunities just come natural to you. And so we're really excited to have him back. As we prepare for the 8th grade career conference, we like to share some resources with our school districts so that students kind of know what they're going to be doing and so that they kind of know what to ask when they get there. So we do ask all of our 8th grade students, our educators and students, to do some kind of a career interest survey. You go online, you answer some questions about your likes, your dislikes, your personality, and then it'll actually tell you what kind of career clusters, pathways that you might be a good fit for. Oh, you're really a good listener. Maybe you'd be good in counseling. Oh, you really like to talk. Maybe you would be a good senator or an educator, or, you know, and it kind of gives those students kind of an idea of who might they really want to talk to before they come to the career conference. Our office provides career cruising free for all of our schools to utilize. So there's that free resource. There's also an online resource through the Illinois Department of Employment Security called Career Information System. And they even have a Career Information System Junior, which is designed for middle school students. Yeah. The Illinois State Board of Education has also produced career guides. This is something that they've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years. It started out as just a high school version, but there's also a middle school version that kind of talks the same language as middle school kids. It's got a small interest survey. It talks about the different career clusters that the Illinois that Illinois kind of recognizes. It's kind of how we have the gym organized that day by career cluster. So when you're looking for a banker, you look for the finance cluster. When you want to learn about plumbing, you look for the construction cluster that's identified throughout the room. And then we also will give students some questions that they can utilize as they talk to those business presenters. And those include questions of, well, what's your salary like? What do you like about your job? What kind of classes can I take in high school? Because we hope that students and educators can use this 8th grade career conference event to help students kind of map out the next 4 years. What might that look like? Our last podcast kind of talked about some of those really great opportunities for students in the high school, whether it's through the regional classes, health occupations, CEO, or LIFT, and Mattoon. How can we help better students prepare for their high school career and adult career, as early as we can, so that they can kind of be thinking about some of that. So we've got lots of things that we'll send out in advance to the schools, kind of to help prep students so they know what's going to go on for the day and make the best use of their time, and hopefully they understand how we feel, how beneficial this is to them.
Very cool. So, all right, when we're talking to these 8th graders, they're taking these tests, these assessments, they're figuring out what they like. How, in your experience, do you see them being really surprised by the results often, or are they pretty spot on? Like the kids say, yeah, it says I have the aptitude to be a mechanic and that's what I like. Or I know, just like with my younger brother, we did it and his results, he was like, that doesn't sound like something I would ever thought of. So it was kind of cool, but is that the norm, or is it kind of split?
I'm not really sure, but I would say a lot of students get surprising answers. It's no secret kids are really interested in social media and video games, and I'm sorry, not every person in 8th grade can be a video game YouTube star. So obviously those results are probably going to show something a little bit different based upon some of their other natural talents and interests and personality traits. So we hope that they, you could always still do YouTube as a hobby. You don't have to give everything up. And, we need to be mindful of that too when we talk to kids. Just because you really, really, really want to be a pediatrician when you grow up, do your grades reflect that now? Do you have the ability to really do that? So if students aren't going to be academically be ready and able to move forward in a career in pediatrics, maybe we can talk to them a little bit more in detail about childcare and maybe what it's, or being an early educator, an early childhood educator, or a daycare person, or how can we help let them work with babies if that's what their interest is, without being a pediatrician and requiring all that school, all that debt, and of course, being academically strong.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because they might be interested in something and it's not necessarily the best choice for them, and they don't know that yet. That's why they can't go into contracts and jump into jobs right now, because they're still figuring things out. Well, one thing I'm seeing, just my personal experience with younger kids, I feel like if I put my little brother and my son into this big old gym with 500 other students and 100 businesses there, they would freeze up and kind of like, what do I do now? Where do I go? So I like the idea that you have suggested questions that they should use and help them kind of at least get started developing this conversation. Do you see that still being helpful, or are we seeing finally like a shift in students coming out of their shells a bit and being a little more interactive and able to socialize because of all of what we've learned to do during the pandemic and online and everything?
I think a little bit of both. And you bring up a good thing. It's a secret, but Courtney and I are kind of looking at creating an additional item to give students this year that might help them come out of their shell a little bit. Or if they don't want, we give them that little guide with all the questions on it as a way to help students just start that conversation. But we also feel that there's a need to let students kind of be their genuine self. So we're working on a little checklist thing on create your own little elevator pitch, work on 2 or 3 topics that you can talk about yourself and to help start a conversation with one of the business presenters that are there. We also hope this year too, when we get our business partners kind of set up and kind of know who's going to join us that day, to maybe ask them to bring some hands-on things. What do you use in your job? Well, what are some of those special tools? Why can't we bring a hammer and a board and talk about different types of wood and when you would use those? Or why don't we bring one of those big giant calculators that accountants used to use back in the day, and let kids push some numbers and see how hard it is and the dexterity that you might need. And your accountant never looks at it. So how do they get all that right? Why can't we do some of that? It's really going to connect the activity with the learning, and they'll remember it better if we can encourage our business partners to kind of bring some tools along with them. And nothing big. We don't have a lot of time, and there's going to be 500 or so kids all there at once. So, but definitely if we can help improve that learning environment for the students and of course, improve the experience that our business partners are going to have there too. We want it to be worth their time as well.
I think that's a great idea. And yes, in the past, the tables that are most popular are the ones with the cool things on there. They want to go see what that is. They want to ask questions about that thing and how it works. So I think the more that we can do that, the more it's going to entice them and stick with them too.
Yeah, I'll never forget the stuffed raccoon. Somebody brings a raccoon.
Brings a raccoon.
Well, is it the Nature Center or the Department of Natural Resources? I think somebody brought something that was sitting on the table and it was giant, and you're like,
you know what? I think you're right, because I was really hoping they'd bring something live.
We don't.
But they didn't.
Sorry, people, we got to stop the event. There's a snake on the loose.
I would have been excited for that. That would have been cool. Yeah, but there's tons of cool stuff, and kids like stuffed raccoons too. You wouldn't think it, but it's different. They don't see it all the time. They want to check it out. They're curious. That's what's so amazing, is how curious they really are.
Yes. Yeah. And we want to encourage that.
For sure. So this sounds like it's going to be a great event. It is March 30th and 31st this year at Lakeland College. Do you have any big new ideas for next year, or?
Oh, 1 year at a time, Jamie.
I feel you. I know. Thinking ahead to next year, and it kind of stuck in my chest as I said it.
The event is just so big. We're always looking for new ideas. We're always looking for new suggestions. But we have to be able to accommodate a lot of schools. We are a very rural area in the state, and we always talk about the lack of opportunities. We don't have the funding to do XYZ. We don't have the opportunity to do ABC. And we want to make sure that we're doing our best to try and meet the needs of students where we are with whatever resources that we have. And right now, the way the event is, we're getting kids out of the school. We are interacting with other students. They're interacting with other adults. It promotes collaboration, teamwork, communication, patience, not being on their cell phone. And it just, we hope we're still developing some kind of a employability skill in students, even by just doing this one small event. We know some schools are also taking advantage of the event and doing something additional with students. It is just a half-day event for students. It is kind of a full day for our business partners, if we have any of those listening in. But some of the students, some of the educators that are there will take their students and do a tour of campus. It's never too early to get students to start thinking about the next step. So they'll do a campus tour and maybe talk with some of the different departments. We have also heard that there's one of our schools are going to arrange transportation, maybe do a business tour and stop by and see somebody else on their way. So that's amazing. Making that a full day activity and really kind of integrating the two. And the state is really pushing for more career development, more career awareness, and putting educators and students in touch with business partners at an earlier age. And all of this kind of goes hand in hand. So making the best bang of the day, I think is a great idea for schools.
For sure. Yes. It really just drives home the importance. It's not a, hey, we did this for an hour and then we're going to forget about it. We're doing this and we're going to follow up and you're going to see how it applies when we do this. And it really just fosters that mindset of, hey, there's so many, I got to start thinking about my future. What is fun? What is interesting? And how is this going to affect my high school career? Because the 8th graders, they're all excited to go to high school and they get to pick classes and there's going to be choices. How do we pick this? This in theory should be helping them make that decision a little bit better.
Yeah, that is our hope.
Very cool. Yes, if we have any local businesses who are listening in and you're interested in joining as a career presenter to be able to talk to these 8th graders and tell them how cool your current occupation or career field is, please reach out to me. You can just get me on our website, lwa23.net, or any of our social media at LWIA23 on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well. So, Laura, we are running out of time. What parting thought do you want us all to have concerning our future workforce and or career exploration?
I would say, every day is an opportunity to learn something new. We don't ever, we prep students for a career. We're prepping them for the first. It's not, I didn't go to school to do what I'm doing today. And I've had a couple of other careers in the middle, so it's all about being aware, being open to change, being open to new challenges, and being aware of what your natural abilities are and your natural talents. If any student can, or any parent can help students identify those things, they'll be happy in their lives. They'll be happy in any future career. They'll be they can easily then transition to anything new that their heart might take them. I always want to encourage the entrepreneurial drive and entrepreneurial spirit in students, because you never know where your life's going to take you. It could take you across the state, it could take you across the nation, it could take you across the world. And with the changes in technology today, you could work from anywhere. It's no secret we all need money, so we're all going to have to work somehow, whether it's developing YouTube videos or boots on the ground and making the roads, and paving new waves, making new bridges, pun intended. So every day is just an opportunity to try something new and to learn about a new career and help guide your own future.
I love that. That was so beautifully put. And yeah, it's kind of scary to think as an 8th grader, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? But it's not a sentence either. It is a starting point. It is one pathway that can lead to another. And there's so many different on-ramps and off-ramps and bridges and roads. So I love it. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm excited to work together more for 8th grade career conference. And I hope to have you back so we can talk about more things going on in the future.
The next thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much. It's always great talking with you, Jamie.
Thanks, Laura. All right. Bye, guys.
You've been listening to Workforce Innovation News powered by E24. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. To learn more about E24, visit lwa23.net.